Welcome, seekers of truth. There is an ancient war that most will never see. A war fought not with swords or armies, but with whispers in the dark, hidden symbols, and forces beyond mortal understanding. If you're here, it's not by accident. The greatest trick the enemy ever pulled was convincing the world he didn't exist. For centuries, there have been those chosen by the divine, individuals marked for a purpose beyond the ordinary. But for every chosen one, there is a shadow, a force working tirelessly to silence them before they can fulfill their calling. What if you were one of them? What if they were already watching? Today, we're unraveling a truth that few dare to speak of: the hidden war against the chosen, the secret society that wants them erased, and the signs that you might be next. Before we dive deep into this abyss, make sure to subscribe, because knowledge like this is meant for those who seek, not those who slumber. Most people believe that their lives are shaped solely by their choices, circumstances, and personal willpower. But what if there was something or someone pulling the strings behind the scenes? What if the path you've walked was not entirely your own, but rather the result of forces you cannot see, steering you toward an unknown destiny? The concept of divine selection is not new. It spans ancient scriptures, folklore, and hidden histories. Those who are chosen are not picked at random. Their lives often carry unmistakable patterns, periods of intense suffering, moments of clarity beyond what seems natural, and an unshakable pull towards something greater than themselves. But with great purpose comes great opposition. The same forces that guide the chosen also attract adversaries. Have you ever experienced a series of unusual coincidences? Have you met people who seem to enter your life at just the right time, offering cryptic advice or helping you make a crucial decision? Have you faced sudden roadblocks that seem designed to halt your progress? If so, you may be in the midst of an unseen struggle. The chosen often feel as though they are being watched, not just by those who wish them well, but by entities that seek to keep them blind, distracted, or even eliminated. Throughout history, individuals who were marked for something greater have faced early hardships, losses, and betrayals. These trials are not accidental. They are part of a refining process. Those who cannot withstand them are discarded or turned away from their path. Those who endure become stronger, more aware, and more aligned with their purpose. But the opposition never rests. If you are truly chosen, you will find that the closer you get to discovering your purpose, the more the resistance grows. It is not just in your mind. It is not paranoia. There is a war being waged, and if you felt its effects, then you are already part of it. The question is, do you recognize the battle you are in, or are you still asleep? Secret societies operate under a strict code: always leave a mark. They do not simply control events. They encode their presence in everything they touch. If you have been drawn towards certain symbols, patterns, or recurring numbers, you may already be seeing through the veil of deception. But this awareness comes with a cost. Those who notice too much often find themselves targeted, isolated, or discredited. Ancient texts and modern conspiracies alike point to the same truth. Secret groups work tirelessly to conceal knowledge that could awaken the chosen. They manipulate media, rewrite history, and distort spiritual teachings. The reason? Because knowledge is power, and those who possess true knowledge become threats. If you are seeing repeated numbers, especially sequences like 1111, 333, or 777. You are being signaled. These patterns are not random. They are breadcrumbs left by forces beyond our understanding. Some are divine, meant to guide you. Others are warnings, meant to intimidate or control you. Have you ever been drawn to ancient texts, hidden scriptures, or lost wisdom? Have you stumbled upon a piece of information that made you question everything you thought you knew? This is not by chance. Many of the chosen find themselves inexplicably drawn to knowledge that the world deems unimportant, fictional, or even dangerous. But what if those dismissed truths hold the very keys that secret societies fear? They track the chosen not just through physical surveillance, but through psychological and spiritual warfare. They implant doubts, introduce distractions, and flood the world with false paths to lead you astray. If you are being awakened, expect interference. Expect that the closer you get to understanding who you are, the more obstacles will appear. This is not a test of your intellect. It is a test of your spirit. Will you see the signs for what they are, or will you dismiss them as coincidence? The answer to that question could determine everything. If you are chosen, they test you. But these tests are not like the ordinary struggles of life. They are precise, calculated, and designed to break you at your core. Those who are meant for a higher purpose are not given an easy road. They are forged through fire. The pattern is eerily consistent: loss, betrayal, isolation, and an overwhelming sense of despair. But these aren't just random hardships. They are part of a systematic effort to either shape you into your true form or crush you before you ever reach your potential. The chosen are often marked from childhood. Their struggles begin early, manifesting in ways that set them apart from others. They may experience an unusual amount of rejection, loneliness, or suffering. They may notice that no matter how hard they try to fit in, something always keeps them at the fringes of normal life. This isn't a coincidence. It's a deliberate refinement. Those who are chosen cannot be like everyone else, because they are destined for something beyond the ordinary. But not everyone makes it through the fire. Many give in to despair, believing that the world is simply against them, that there is no meaning to their suffering. This is exactly what the opposition wants. If they cannot destroy you physically, they will try to break you mentally and spiritually. They will convince you that you are weak, that you are alone, that you are unworthy. They will whisper doubts into your mind, planting the idea that you are imagining things, that your calling is nothing more than wishful thinking. If everything in your life seems to be crumbling just as you start to seek higher knowledge, you must ask yourself, is this truly a coincidence? Or is something or someone trying to stop you before you awaken? If you have lost friends, if your relationships have suddenly turned sour, if opportunities have slipped away for no logical reason, consider that this might not be random. It might be a test. And only those who endure will see the truth beyond the illusion. Throughout history, there have been whispers of those who monitor the chosen, figures who operate in the background, never fully revealing themselves, but always present when it matters most. They have been called by many names: watchers, handlers, observers. But their mission is always the same: to keep the chosen in check, and if necessary, to eliminate them. These figures do not operate like spies in movies. They do not need to follow you in dark alleys or wear black suits. Instead, they blend into your life in ways you wouldn't expect. a friend who seems too interested in your beliefs, a coworker who asks just a few too many personal questions, a stranger who appears at key moments, offering advice that seems oddly tailored to your thoughts. They are subtle, but once you start noticing them, you cannot unsee them. The chosen often report encounters with people who seem to appear and disappear with perfect timing. These individuals have a way of influencing situations without drawing attention to themselves. They may discourage you from pursuing certain paths, make you question your own instincts, or subtly redirect your focus away from higher truths. Sometimes they don't need to do anything at all. Just their presence is enough to instill a sense of unease, a feeling that you are not alone, even when no one is around. But how do you identify them? Look for the moments when your reality seems to be shifting. Have you ever spoken about deep truths only to notice someone nearby paying close attention? Have you felt that certain people react oddly when you mention specific topics? The watchers are trained to observe, to listen, and to intervene when necessary. They do not act unless the chosen become too aware, too powerful, too difficult to control. If you have ever felt as though someone was watching you, not just physically but spiritually, you might not be imagining things. The chosen are not left unmonitored, and once you begin to awaken, you may find that those who were once in the background are now much closer than you ever realized. The chosen aren't fought with weapons, they're fought with thoughts. The war against them isn't waged on battlefields, but in their minds, in the very fabric of their perception. If you are one of them, then you've already experienced this. You've felt the battle inside your thoughts, the creeping doubt that seems to strike at the worst moments. You've had revelations so powerful they sent shivers down your spine, only to second-guess yourself moments later. This is not by chance. It is an attack. Your mind is the first and most important battleground. The opposition doesn't need to kill you to defeat you. They just need to make you doubt. If they can plant a seed of uncertainty, you will abandon your purpose willingly. Have you ever noticed how quickly self-doubt can take over after a moment of clarity? 1 second, you feel as if you've uncovered a deep truth, and the next, you find yourself questioning everything. This is not random. It is by design. How do they do it? Through a system of manipulation that spans media, culture, and even the people around you. You are bombarded with distractions, endless cycles of meaningless entertainment, fear-based narratives, and false paths designed to keep you spiritually blind. If you've ever felt that the world is constantly trying to pull you away from what truly matters, it's because it is. The chosen are given just enough truth to awaken, but are then drowned in deception to keep them asleep. Have you ever had an unshakable conviction about something, only to have others quickly dismiss it as nonsense? The war on your mind is fought through external voices as well. Society conditions people to reject the chosen, to label them as crazy, paranoid, or delusional. This is one of the most effective tactics because it isolates you. If no one believes you, if everyone tells you you're wrong, then eventually you start to doubt yourself. And once you doubt yourself, they've won. But you must remember, doubt is a weapon, not a truth. The opposition fights this way because they fear what you might become if you truly awaken. You must stand firm in what you know, even when the world calls you foolish. You must recognize the battle for what it is, an attempt to keep you from realizing who you truly are. The only way to win this war is to refuse to surrender your mind. The lives of the chosen follow a pattern, one that repeats across generations, across cultures, across history itself. If you are among them, your story is not unique in its struggle. There are signs, markers that indicate whether you are walking the same path as those who came before you. And if you recognize them, you will understand that what you are experiencing is not random. It is part of something far greater. The pattern begins in childhood. Many chosen ones report an early sense of not belonging, as if they were somehow different from the people around them. They often feel disconnected, misunderstood, or even alienated from their own families. Some experience unusual events, visions, dreams, encounters with mysterious figures, or forces they cannot explain. Others find themselves drawn to spiritual matters at a young age, even without any outside influence guiding them in that direction. As they grow older, the second phase begins: rebellion. The chosen often go through a period of rejecting everything they've been told, feeling disillusioned with the world and its systems. They question authority, challenge norms, and seek answers in places others fear to look. This is where the battle truly begins, because once the chosen start searching for truth, the opposition takes notice. This is when the attacks escalate. Suddenly, life becomes harder. Strange misfortunes begin to occur. Relationships fall apart. Opportunities vanish. This is the third phase, opposition. It is designed to break the chosen before they fully awaken. If you are in this phase, you will feel as if the entire world is against you. Everything that once seemed stable will collapse. But understand this phase is not a punishment. It is a test. The final phase is awakening. If the chosen survive the trials, if they refuse to give up, even when everything is taken from them, they begin to see beyond the illusions of the world. They recognize the forces at play. They step fully into their purpose. But this is also when they become the most dangerous to those who seek to control them. The closer they get to their true mission, the more the opposition fights to stop them. If your life follows this pattern, you are not alone. You are walking the same path that others have walked before you. And if you can endure, if you can hold on to the truth, despite everything thrown against you, you will reach the place where the opposition can no longer touch you. The only question is, will you make it? Many chosen ones report receiving strange messages, sometimes through dreams, sometimes through real-world encounters that seem too intentional to be mere chance. These messages often come at night, in the stillness of early morning, when the world is quiet and the subconscious mind is more receptive. Some experience vivid dreams that feel more like memories than imagination. Others find themselves stumbling upon cryptic passages in books, overhearing conversations that seem eerily relevant, or meeting strangers who speak in riddles, leaving them with more questions than answers. But these midnight messages are not always comforting. Sometimes they come as warnings, visions of danger, premonitions of betrayal, or feelings of deep unease without an obvious cause. If you have ever woken up from a dream that felt more real than reality itself, or if you've received an undeniable sign at a crucial moment in your life, you may have been given a message meant only for you. These messages do not always come from benevolent sources. Just as divine forces communicate with the chosen, so too do those who wish to mislead them. One of the greatest tactics of the opposition is to mimic the voice of guidance, leading the chosen down paths that seem right but ultimately divert them from their true purpose. These false paths often appear as enticing opportunities, relationships that seem perfect but drain the soul, or ideologies that seem full of light but subtly distort the truth. The key to deciphering these messages is discernment. Not every dream, not every sign, not every coincidence is from the same source. The opposition will always seek to deceive, while true guidance will always seek to awaken. If you are receiving messages, you must ask, do they bring clarity or confusion? Do they strengthen you or weaken you? Do they call you to truth or to distraction? If you have ever experienced a moment where reality seemed to bend around you, where time slowed, where a deep knowing settled in your soul, where the world suddenly felt different, then you have already begun to receive the messages meant for you. The question is, will you listen? Certain names hold power. Throughout history, names have been erased, hidden, or feared because of what they represent. The chosen often feel an inexplicable connection to figures like Enoch, Elijah, and the apostles who defied the system. But there are names that secret societies whisper in fear. Names that, if spoken too loudly, threaten to shatter the illusion they have so carefully built. Have you ever been drawn to certain historical figures or religious texts that most people overlook? Have you felt a strange familiarity with stories of ancient prophets, warriors, or rebels who stood against overwhelming forces? This is not an accident. The chosen are often connected to those who came before them, not just by knowledge, but by something deeper, something spiritual. But there is another layer to this. Not only do the chosen feel drawn to forgotten truths, but they also find themselves repelled by deception. When they hear lies, something within them resists. When they encounter manipulation, they see through it. And because of this, they become dangerous to those who thrive on controlling the narrative. The opposition fears those who remember. They fear those who question. They fear those who refuse to be controlled. If you have ever felt that certain knowledge was deliberately being kept from you, or that history itself has been rewritten to hide something crucial, you are not alone. The war is not just against the chosen, it is against the truth itself, and those who seek it must be silenced. If you have found yourself stumbling upon knowledge that feels strangely familiar, if you have sensed that there is more to reality than what you've been told, if you have questioned why certain truths are suppressed while others are promoted, then you are already walking a path that many fear to tread. The question is, will you keep walking? The world isn't what it seems, and neither are you. If you've felt different all your life, if you've been tested beyond what seems fair, if the patterns we've uncovered today resonate deep in your soul, you were chosen. But being chosen comes with a cost. Not everyone will make it. Not everyone will wake up in time. But you are here, now, and that means something. The opposition will not stop. The distractions will not cease. The war will not be easy. But if you've made it this far, then you already know. The hardest battles are given to those who are meant for something greater. You were not meant to sleep through life. You were not meant to blend in, to obey without question, to live in ignorance. You were meant for something more. The world will tell you that none of this is real, that you are imagining things, that you should just live like everyone else and stop asking questions. But deep down, you already know the truth. You were chosen. Now, the only question that remains is, what will you do with this knowledge? If you want to go deeper, stay connected. Subscribe, share this with those who need to hear it, and remember, nothing real can be hidden forever. The clock is ticking. Be ready.